So the goal of Vipassana meditation, the purpose of practice of Vipassana meditation is to develop this panya, wisdom, or sampajanya, this clear comprehension. Right? So develop this wisdom of clear comprehension that leads to the purification of the mind from the cause, or rather the causes of suffering, which is this avijja, tanha, upadana, this ignorant craving and clinging. Mm, mm. So, and in particular, we want to develop not just any type of wisdom or clear comprehension, but we want to develop vipassana insight, clear insight that discerns the nature of impermanence, suffering, and non-self that are inherent in the nature of nama rupa, so the mental physical phenomena. Mm. Now, when we feel, when we do not practice vipassana, we fail to discern as it is, or as they are, the nature of this nama rupa, this mental physical nature that are the constituents of our sense experiences. So we fail to discern the nature clearly as impermanent, suffering, and non-self. So, so our mind will then be clouded by avijja, ignorance. So, so under the influence of ignorance, under the control of ignorance, what is actually impermanent, suffering, and non-self, the mind will mistake it as permanent, as pleasurable, as a self. And when the mind take this as pleasurable, uh, as permanent, as a self, then craving, clinging, tanha and upadana will arise. Mm. And then together, this avijja, tanha, upadana, this ignorance, craving, and clinging, uh, they drives they drive the process of dependent origination, paticca samuppada, which brings about like repeated rebirth, continuous repeated rebirth, never-ending rebirth in the cycle of birth and death, whereby you experience again and again and again, cycle after cycle of suffering, of aging, disease, death, again and again and again. Okay? So, but when you develop vipassana, mm, yeah, so the mind is able to discern clearly as they are, the nature of this nama rupa as impermanent, as suffering, as non-self. You discern it clearly in your experience. Okay, yeah. So and then you abolish the darkness of ignorance. Avijja is abolished, dispelled. So when avijja is dispelled, when this darkness is dispelled, then the mind has the clarity as well as the strength, the wisdom to let go. mm, Let go of craving, let go of clinging to this process of the nama rupa that brings about dukkha. Mm. Mm. So the goal of vipassana meditation is to develop this insight into nature, impermanent suffering and non-self. This insight that leads to liberation from dukkha. So the purpose of vipassana meditation is to develop this insight into nature of impermanent suffering and non-self. But as we have mentioned in the previous talk, so this wisdom of clear comprehension, including wisdom, the vipassana insight, they do not arise right from the beginning of the practice. Okay? Mm. So they arise only when the samadhi, concentration, is developed and established. Mm. Mm. Yeah. So without concentration, they cannot arise. That's why in the Samādhi Sutta, which we mentioned we quoted in the last talk, the Buddha says to develop concentration. Samadhi bhikkhave bhaveta. Bhikkhus develop concentration. That's the instruction. Buddha asks us, you must develop concentration. Why do we develop concentration? Samahito bhikkhu yatha bhutam pajanati. Okay, so the bhikkhu are the yogis whose mind is in the state of samadhi, is able to discern clearly as it is the true nature of mental physical phenomena, the nama rupa, discern the nature of impermanent suffering, non-self. Okay? Mm. So, so in our practice, we need to develop samadhi. In particular, in order to develop vipassana insight, we need to develop what is called Khanikā Samadhi, or momentary, or rather moment to moment concentration. Khanikā Samadhi. So this Khanikā Samadhi is necessary for the development of insight into impermanent suffering and non-self. So without it, vipassana insight cannot develop. This is mentioned very clearly in the Visuddhimagga Mahādika, the commentary to the Visuddhimagga. It says, Nahi Khanikā Samadhi vina vipassana sambhavati. So literally it means without Khanikā Samadhi, without this moment-to-moment concentration, vipassana insight cannot be produced, cannot arise. Mm. So how do we develop this Khanikā Samadhi? So we develop it through the same method I have been talking about and that you all have been practicing throughout this retreat. The basic method of noting, the Satipatthana method of noting, Anupassana. So through continuous, energetic, precise noting, moment to moment, precise noting, applying ardent, energetic effort, mindfulness, and clear comprehension. And so when you exert the mind to note in this way, continuously, so when the mindfulness has been sufficiently developed, so when mindfulness sufficiently developed, you find that each moment when you note the object with this developed mindfulness, the hindrances have no opportunity to arise. So we are able to overcome the hindrances. So as the mind remains continuously noting moment to moment, so over a period of time, the hindrances will become weaker and weaker. So, and then the minds begin to settle down and begin to become fixed, right, onto the flow of the moment-to-moment object of vipassana. Now, initially, uh, when the mindfulness and concentration is still not developed yet, when they are still weak, okay, you find that there will be more moments of hindrances, a lot of wandering mind, sleepiness, tiredness, and so on. Okay? So more moments of hindrances and less moments of mindful noting. Yeah? Mm. But if with persistent effort, yeah, you keep exerting the mind to not continuously following the method, not with ardent, energetic effort, not precisely moment to moment to moment. Okay? So as the strength of the noting mind develops, the mindfulness and concentration develops. Okay, and then you find that gradually there'll be more and more moments of pure, wholesome noting. Okay, and whereas the moments of hindrances are becoming less and less. So there'll be less and less moments of hindrances, wandering mind, sleepiness, tiredness. Okay? Now, so as you keep developing practice, as you keep developing the strength, the mindfulness, the concentration, okay, eventually there will come a time when uh, the hindrances totally uh, disappear, the mind cease wandering completely. Okay? Mm. And at that time, you find the noting becomes very energetic. Okay? So, and then only pure noting mind occurs continuously. Okay? So, when the hindrances has been uh, totally overcome, suppressed, okay? So, only pure noting mind occurs continuously. Okay? Mm. There's no moments of hindrances at all that comes in between. Okay? Mm. And you find that each moment when noting occurs, the noting mind falls closely on the object. Due to the strength of the noting at that time, the noting mind is as if thrown into the object. Okay? So it's like sinks into the object with firmness, with strength. Okay? So there's firmness in the noting mind, strength in the noting mind. Okay? And the noting mind. So when the noting mind occurs repeatedly, like this moment to moment to moment, okay? With purity, okay? Without any hindrances. That's when we say that the Khanikā Samādhi, and the moment to moment concentration is established. Mm. Mm. So with continuous occurrence of this moment to moment concentration, so because the mind is completely pure, there's no hindrances at all. So the mind remains exclusively pure for the period of time. mm. So whether it be for just a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or even up to half an hour, depending on how far you are developed. Okay? But during that time, the mind remain exclusively pure. Okay? And there's no gap at all in the pure noting, okay? Where the hindrances can intervene. Okay? So this, as we said, is the state of Cittavisudhi, uh, purity of mind. Okay? Where the mind is exclusively pure. You can feel the purity of the mind. Okay? So, as a yogi, when you experience this, you can feel the mind is so pure, without even a stain, even a tinge of defilements. Okay? It's like the whole mind uh, has been detoxified. uh, So all the sin of the mind, sin of the mental defilements, greed, hatred, delusion, all this uh, totally absent from the mind. The mind is totally pure. uh, mm, So in the state of this Cittavisudhi, so the mind is completely pure, clean and pure, free from all the toxin of the mind, toxin of the mental defilements. As a result, the mind becomes very wholesome, becomes very healthy, and very happy, peaceful. Okay? Just like when you detoxify your body. So nowadays, people spend a lot of time and money uh, to buy this product or that product, attend this program or that program to detoxify the body, right? Get get rid of all the toxin in the body. So when you detoxify the body, your body becomes very comfortable, right? So you become happy. uh, so mm, so same with the mind. Okay? So you can purify the mind from all the toxin, all the mental defilements. Mind also becomes very healthy, very comfortable, peaceful, happy. uh, mm. So, and which is more important, to detox the body or to detox the mind? uh, mm. Which is more important, mind or body? Of course, the mind is more important. Uh, uh, this is not to uh, discount the importance of having a healthy body. So, healthy body is also important, necessary uh, to have a happy life. Okay? Your body is sickly, you cannot be uh, uh, that happy. Okay? And for our practice also, in order to practice meditation, uh, you also need to have a healthy body. Okay? You don't have a healthy body, it's very difficult to practice. Okay? Not to say you cannot practice at all, you are very determined. uh, you can practice also, but it is so much easier to practice if your body is healthy. Okay? Mm. However, if you have a healthy body, but you don't have a healthy mind. Uh, that means your mind is full of toxin, uh, full of defilements, full of greed, hatred, delusion. uh, then your mind will be constantly disturbed, harassed by these defilements. You don't have peace of mind. You cannot be happy. Okay? So you'll not be truly happy, without a pure and healthy mind. Okay? So, mm, mm. But if you cultivate purity of mind, you cultivate a wholesome mind, a healthy mind, a mind that is filled with wholesome qualities, clarity, wisdom, equanimity, kindness, compassion, appreciation, contentment, detachment, generosity, and so on. So if your mind is filled with such pure state of mind, wholesome state of mind, healthy state of mind, then you will live a life of spiritual richness, spiritual wholesomeness. And you can be happy with this type of mind. You can be happy wherever you go, or with whoever you are with, you can be happy. And even when your body falls sick, you can still be happy, because your mind is healthy and happy by itself. Okay. So this is what the Buddha meant when he said, when the body is sick, Let not the mind also be sick. Okay. So you can keep your mind healthy by purifying it through meditation. Okay. So you can be happy uh, wherever it goes, under whatever circumstances it is in, even when facing death. uh, it can still be happy, uh, peaceful. uh, mm, mm, Yeah. Mm. So Cittavisudhi, state of purity of mind, is a very powerful state of wholesome mind. Okay? Mm, so as a result of this internal purity of mind, uh, so the purity of the yogi's sila, so the purity of his external, physical, and verbal actions also becomes strengthened. So his sila becomes further purified. So the purity, the internal purity of mind, like spill over externally into his or her physical and verbal action. Mm. So the sila becomes further purified and strengthened. Mm. So now, earlier, uh, mm, before the yogi reached this state of Cittavisudhi, for example, before he started meditating, or even after you started meditating, but you have not reached this stage of Cittavisudhi yet. You find at that time that you, in order to observe sila, you need to exert a lot of effort in order to restrain your external physical and verbal actions. Okay? So, mm, yeah. So to abstain from killing, abstain from stealing, and especially from telling lies, it requires a lot of uh, exertion, effort, okay, to restrain the physical and verbal actions. Yeah? Especially if we are just only uh, uh, come across the Dhamma and just only started to try to observe the Sila. Yeah? So many people, before they started learning about the Dhamma, so they are habitually breaking the precepts. A very strong habit. uh, See a mosquito come, whack. uh, I see a cockroach come, I want to kill, right? So very habitually, they think of breaking the precepts and they actually break the precepts, right? So then later on, they come across the Dhamma and then they say, oh, uh, Dhamma, no joke. You kill, you steal, you cheat, you create a lot of akusala karma. uh, So better observe the sila. So they start try to observe the sila. Okay? But initially, I find it's very difficult because very strong habit in the mind, right? So you need to exert a lot, tremendous effort uh, to remember, to restrain the physical and verbal action, to restrain, abstain from killing, stealing, and so on. Okay? So why does it take a lot of effort? Because at that time, internally, your mind is still not pure. uh, So still a lot of defilements keep arising within. uh, the moment you see the cockroach, fear arise next to him. Must kill, must kill. uh, So so these defilements keep arising. Every time arising, you lose the mindfulness, and these defilements keep prodding the mind. Uh, mm. to perform all kinds of unwholesome physical and verbal action. Okay. So to in order to observe the sila, you need to exert a lot of effort with mindfulness in order to restrain the physical and verbal action. And often because you're just beginning and you haven't even started, especially you haven't even started meditating. So the strength of the mindfulness is very weak. Okay? So if the mindfulness is very weak, you'll be unable to restrain. Very difficult to restrain. And usually you just give in to the defilements and then the sila is broken. Okay? But once you have reached through your meditation practice, you have reached the state of Cittavisudhi. Uh, Mindfulness is very well developed. Okay? So the mind is kept because of this well developed mindfulness. The mind is kept continuously pure. Okay? And if the mind possesses this strength of purity, whereby the whole mind is strongly and firmly inclined away from kusala. And it's firmly, strongly inclined towards kusala, towards purity of mind. Okay? Which means actually that the mind is firmly inclined towards the practice of meditation. Huh? That's why at that time the yogi do not want to stop meditating. He wants to keep meditating, meditating, because the whole mind is inclined uh, to the state of purity of mind. Okay? So, so if the mind is strongly inclined towards purity, uh, then the physical and verbal actions also becomes pure automatically. Okay? Because there is no defilements that can arise uh, that that can spill over to externally into your physical verbal action and cause the physical verbal action to become impure. Okay? So therefore, you find that you're able to keep the sila very easily. Huh? You're able to keep the sila easily because there's no internal struggle with the defilements because the mind is pure. Huh? Mm. So at that time, the mind is inclined away from akusala huh? and inclined firmly towards kusala. Okay? So every moment, the mind automatically it chooses kusala over akusala. Okay? So the mind becomes more peaceful. There's more clarity in the mind. Okay? So due to this purity of mind, uh, the mind becomes refined. So the whole noting mind becomes very refined. uh, So, and this refinement in the mind, it also reflects externally in the physical and verbal actions. So all your speech, your actions becomes refined, uh, becomes gentle, cultured, well restrained. So whether the yogi will be able to carry himself or herself with calmness, with composure, with steadiness, with restraint. Mm. Mm. So when the mind is pure internally, so the external physical action also becomes well refined, gentle, cultured, well restrained. Okay? Mm. You can see this, you can observe this in uh, the behavior, the external behavior of the yogis who have reached the state of Cittavisudhi. Okay? So you observe them, you see they go about their daily activities well restrained. There's no excitement at all in their physical or verbal action. Okay? So physically. They go about their activities calmly, without being in a hurry, without rushing. There's no display of excitement at all in their physical actions. So their eyes does not look here or look there excitedly, seeking for things to see. And all their actions, physical actions, are graceful, elegant. Okay? Mm. So verbally, when they speak, their speech also is calm, without any excitement. Okay? They speak calmly, and they speak clearly. Okay? So when they speak, they're able to express themselves clearly. Okay? So the speech actually reflects a clarity of mind within. When you're internally, your mind is clear. When you speak, they say you speak your mind. So when your mind is clear, when you speak, you also speak clearly. Mm, 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 mm. So you speak clearly, speak coherently. Okay? So not jumping here and there, like in the interview. Some yogis report they jump here and there. uh, While reporting sitting meditation, suddenly they talk about daily activities, uh, then jump to walking meditation, then go back to sitting meditation, and they don't even tell you. uh, Suddenly reporting about uh, sitting meditation, suddenly they say the foot lift up. How can the foot lift up when you're sitting? So, so but when your mind is clear, you speak clearly, you speak coherently, you don't jump about here and there without any clear sequence. Okay? Even when you want to jump from one topic to another, you make it clear. Mm, mm. So you speak with clear logical sequence. There's coherence in your speech. Okay? Mm. Now, Now, of course, yogis who exert effort to note mindfully, continuously, so to some extent also, uh, you have this quality of refinement in your physical and verbal actions. Okay? But uh, if you have not yet reached the state of Cittavisudhi, uh, this refinement in your physical and verbal action will be inconsistent. Mm. So sometimes when you remember to be mindful, your actions are all very calm, peaceful. But once you lose the mindfulness, uh, um, action become excited again. Okay? So when you remember to be mindful, to note continuously, your action will be very well restrained. Yeah? But when you lose the mindfulness, you become totally callous in your physical and verbal action. Okay? So you'll be inconsistent. And usually you lose the mindfulness when you're talking. Huh? That's why yogis sometimes they come into an interview. When they enter the room, they walk very mindfully, very well restrained. When they sit down, when they bow, everything very well restrained. uh. But the moment they open their mouth and start reporting, they lose the mindfulness. uh. And then the speech start to become very excited. They start to gesture physically, and the gesture becomes more and more excited. uh, and sometimes they even laugh. uh, so they lose the mindfulness totally because inconsistent. Okay? So, but if the mind, if the yogi have reached the state of Chitta Visuddhi, they'll be more consistent as long as he can maintain that purity of mind. The actions, physical and verbal action, will be consistently pure, refined. uh, mm. But remember, this state of Cittavisudhi is not permanent. Okay, it lasts only as long as you can maintain it. So that's why in your practice you have to keep exerting effort. Okay, whatever uh, wholesome state of mind and that you have developed, you have to make effort to sustain it. That's part of right effort, right? Effort to bring up unwholesome state, not yet a reason. Uh, an effort to maintain, sustain the wholesome state, already a reason. Right? Mm. Okay, we stop here tonight.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namaskara.